everybody. Welcome back. Welcome one, welcome all. It is time, once again, for the world-famous RageSelect podcast. I think I could say world-famous, right?
Sure.
I'm Jeff.
I'm John.
John, you're back!
Yes. I haven't been on a podcast in a very long time.
Yeah.
Maybe a year.
Well, you put in the podcast work, right?
Yeah.
Like you were doing your podcast duty for what was like 4 or 5 years straight.
Yeah.
So
yeah, there was a period where I was not only doing my own podcast, but I was doing like 3 podcasts, plus I would appear on this podcast.
Yep.
And then I at one point just went, fuck it, I'm done with all of it.
just swearing off podcasts.
No podcasts, and then here I'm back.
Someday I'll be able to swear off podcasts. Someday. But not today, because we've got a bunch of news. Actually, there's less news out of TGS than I would have thought. Like, I went online to look at TGS news, because last week when we did the Sony State of Play, TGS had just started, and there was like a couple of things, and I was like, oh, there's going to be a big barrage. I think every year I get sucked in by the time TGS comes around, like, most everything has been announced for the rest of the year.
Yeah.
So we've got an Xbox show to go through, and there's some interesting stuff in there, as well as the regular news. But before we get to that, John, I'm really excited this week because I was trying to find something to watch, like I do, and I was looking through stuff, and Deadpool Wolverine came out on VOD. I don't really know how much I can say about Deadpool Wolverine without inadvertently spoiling it, outside of I enjoyed it. I didn't think it was as good as the first one, but I thought it was better than the second one. But I found this movie that Red Letter Media had done a feature on called Strange Darling. Have you heard of this?
No.
Okay. It's like this underground, this is really interesting thriller, and it's got Kyle Gallner. Do you know who Kyle Gallner is?
Not a clue.
Okay. Kyle Gallner is he was in Veronica Mars, and he was kind of like a heartthrob back in the day.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I know who that dude is.
Yeah, but now he's really buff, and he's got this kind of sleazy mustache, and he plays kind of sleazebags in movies.
I mean, if you've watched Veronica Mars, he played them then too.
Yeah, and then the other lead is Willa Fitzgerald, who the only thing I remember seeing her in was the Fall House of Usher on Netflix.
Okay,
there was an episode where they kind of flash back to the origin story where the husband and wife go to this bar, and it's kind of where everything starts. And she played the young version of the wife in that.
Okay.
So the movie comes up and it says it's about this serial killer, and it's a story in 6 chapters, and Willa Fitzgerald is cast as the lady, and Kyle Gallner is the demon, and then it starts at chapter 3, and then it kind of does this thing where it jumps around the timeline through the different chapters to tell this story. I gotta say, it's one of the best movies I've seen this year. It kept me on the edge of my seat. I love a non-chronological story. It starts with Kyle Gallner in a pickup truck, chasing Willa Fitzgerald down the a rural highway, snorting cocaine, and just them both kind of looking crazy.
Like you do.
But it was really good. The both of them were very good. Willa Fitzgerald kind of stole it at the end of the day. Her portrayal, she did a lot of stuff where I'm just well, damn, that's some fucking acting right there.
So was this a movie or a series?
It's a movie.
It's a movie.
It's a movie. It came onto VOD this week. It was in theaters for a little while, and it's only it's an hour and 47 minutes, which I really
that's not bad.
Liked. Yeah, so it was tight. It kept moving between stuff. Everybody was giving good stuff. It was all shot on film. And their cinematographer was Giovanni Ribisi.
Oh shit!
And there was some care and effort given to the kind of the color schemes that were going on, and the framing of stuff, and it was all just really well done in a way where I'm man, I wish more people had heard about this. Usually when Red Letter Media comes on and gives a recommendation, I usually tend to like it. I like the things that they tend to enjoy, at least on some level. And this is one where they did kind of a little feature on it, trying to get people to go to the theater to see it. And I kind of stopped it halfway through and then put it on my radar. And then this week when I was looking for stuff, I was I really liked it. Like, I really enjoyed it. And the problem is that I wish I could say more about it, but it's such a kind of like Memento. It's like an unfolding story where you're like, oh, well, I think I know what's going on now. And then you go to another chapter, you're like, oh, I had no idea what was going on now. And then you go to another chapter, it's like, oh my God, I can't even believe it. It also has, what's really interesting, it also has Ed Begley Jr. and Barbara Hershey are both in it. It's kind of this old pair of hippies that live out in the middle of nowhere. And then also, I don't remember his name. Let me see if I can see it on the thing. The guy that played, Stephen Michael Quezada. He played Steve Gomez in Breaking Bad. He was Dean Norris's partner in Breaking Bad, and I like him too. He kind of just shows up at a certain point. But yeah, I really think that it's a really good movie. Like, it's just a very solid movie, especially if you're into like crime and thriller and kind of fucked up stuff. And it moves, and it was never not entertaining. And every time I started to get even a little bit like, I was like, okay, I don't know if this is going on quite so long, and then like bam, it was just on to something else, and I was like, great. So I highly recommend that everybody go check it out. Strange Darling, right now it's on VOD. I don't know if it's coming on to like one of the major streaming services at any point, but I actually think it's worth like a $6 rental if you're a fan of that kind of stuff. So big enthusiastic recommend. How about you, John? Do you see anything? Watch anything? Do anything?
Watching movies. I watched the Missing Pieces, Twin Peaks, extra feature movie / whatever you want to call it, because Amanda and I have been trying to watch all of Twin Peaks, and before we got to Fire Walk with Me, and before we went into The Return, we wanted to watch the Missing Pieces because originally David Lynch recorded enough footage to make 2 fucking movies,
right? Like you do, when you're David Lynch.
And the first, I think Fire Walk with Me was great. And then watching Missing Pieces, which by itself is not comprehensible in any way, shape, or form.
Sure.
Because it's deleted scenes. Like, it even has a message at the beginning of it saying, this is just a bunch of deleted scenes from Fire Walk with Me. And then you watch it and you're like, oh, like it really felt like David Lynch went, okay, I need a scene for every actor that ever was a major character in the TV series, so that they all have a moment to have, to be in this movie. And then it was like, okay, now what do I need? None of these scenes that have nothing to do with the plot featuring characters that were in the TV series.
Yeah.
And then also, here's the introduction of David Bowie and a bunch of scenes with David Bowie that are there.
I've never seen this before. I might have to go check it out.
It's really good. If you subscribe to the Criterion channel, you can view it on there as an extra. They have all the extra features for their the Criterion release of on their streaming, and they have a 7-day free trial. So I was like, well, fuck it, I'll get a 7-day free trial, and we'll watch that for free. And if there's other cool movies on there, it's Criterion. There are. Yeah. Maybe I'll keep it for a month or two and watch some other stuff.
Sure.
But yeah, no, I really liked it. We're gonna watch The Return soon, and then the only other thing I've been doing is I don't want to spend too much time talking about it because I don't want to take up the podcast. But I bought a Playdate.
Oh yeah,
and I've now had it for a full month. So it's I've gotten a lot of games. Because when you buy it, you get 30 plus games or whatever.
Yeah, but they unlock 2
at a time.
Yeah.
So like when you activate the account, you get every Monday you get 2 new games. And at first I didn't like that.
Yeah.
I was like, no, just give them all to me at once.
Sure.
But then apparently there is a way to download them all, but I never looked into it.
Yeah.
Because I was lazy. And then the more I thought about it, the more I actually did like it, because it makes me play the games for like a week, and then by the time I'm done with those games, because they're small games, they're not like long games that you're going to sit there and play for hours at a time. They're maybe like, I think the longest one was maybe an hour to get through, and so it allowed me to play throughout the week, and then by the time next week rolls around, I got 2 more new games to play.
Yeah.
Not to mention any games I buy, which I've also bought quite a few.
How much is the Playdate?
It's basically $200.
Okay.
It's some people think it's a little overpriced. I am okay with it for what it is.
Boy, I'd say for what it, I mean, if you know what it is, that's not ridiculous for a bespoke piece of hardware.
Yeah, it's the big thing I can say for anyone who's curious about is what the Playdate is, because we haven't really said what it is.
Oh, sure.
It's a handheld console.
Yeah.
It's kind of looks like a shrunk down Game Boy.
Yeah.
That's
I just
yellow.
saw a video where somebody used that same form factor to put together like a custom 3D printed GBA guts. So.
Yeah, it's also got a crank on the side of it to make it a little bit different, and the screen's only like it's 1 bit.
Yeah.
So literally the pixel is on or off.
Yep. It's black and white. It's also not backlit, right?
No backlighting, but it has like the type of screen used is very reflective. Mm-hmm. So even if there's only a little bit of light, like you can still kind of see a lot.
Okay.
But it's not the greatest. The dimmer the light, the less you can see the screen.
Yeah.
But you would think 1 bit, pixels being on or off, there's like, all the games probably look garbage or something like that. No, you can get some pretty detailed stuff.
Yeah.
People can do some really creative things with
look at Oberdin, right? Oberdin's 1 bit.
Yeah. And yeah, so I mean, it's been really interesting. Also, they release games every other Tuesday. You get a slew of new games that come out through their thing called Catalog, which is basically their official published through like on the device. You can actually go on the device and buy on the storefront from them, or if you don't want to go through their storefront, you can buy from itch.io
and like sideload stuff.
And sideload stuff, and putting sideloading games on there is super goddamn simple.
Yeah.
Like I wanted something that I could keep at my desk, and then on slow moments I could pick it up, play something for a little bit, and then put it down.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, my Switch, while great for that, or while you would think would be great for that, is a little bit too much. Too involved.
Yeah.
And I didn't want to get like an emulator or anything like that.
Sure.
And that's the other thing. A lot of people are like, oh, can it emulate games? No.
Yeah.
It's not an emulate machine. It's not meant for that.
It's very bespoke.
But it's got a really cool community with a lot of people making games and encouraging people to make games. And
cool.
Right now I'm even trying to learn how to code in Lua to see if maybe I can make something that I might release for it. But like if that happens, it wouldn't probably be for like 2 or 3 years because I don't know shit about coding.
Well, I'll tell you who does know something about coding, and that's the Xbox team. You
would expect that.
That was as good as a segue as I had to get us directly in.
I liked it.
Xbox Tokyo Game Show 2024. Yeah, I could say that like there's not a lot in here that we didn't already know existed. This is more about just kind of showing off more of stuff. So
yeah, it's showing you more of, or actually showing more of stuff you already know about.
Yeah. So they kicked off pretty strong with Snake Eater. We haven't seen the Snake Eater remake. We haven't seen a lot of this. What I find really interesting about this, though, is having played Snake Eater a million times, I'm glad that, like, as from my memory, I don't know, I could be wrong here, but I think that all the cutscenes that they're showing are the exact cutscenes. Like, they really haven't been redone outside of new models. Like, the actual character angles, like the camera angles and the character motions and stuff are all things that are burned into my brain, especially because most of what they show is from the first part of the game, which is the part I've played the most times.
I'm going to be honest, I've never played Snake Eater.
Really?
Yeah, I mean, I mean, you know me. I mean, I hadn't played the original Metal Gear Solid.
Well,
and then until we played it.
Yeah.
But I had played, like, really the only thing I've played is, like, 2 and 4.
Do you think you would be interested in playing this, especially since it's like 3 is so far back in the beginning you don't need to know Jack?
Yeah. I mean, if it pops up on Game Pass, I'll give it a play, but I'm not like
not gonna seek it out.
Yeah.
I think it's like Demon Souls for me, where it's like, oh no, John, they came out with a remake of Snake Eater. I've got to play Snake Eater for the fucking 40th time in my life. Yeah, I don't know. Everything here looks pretty cool. Like, it all looks very good. I like the fact that, again, it's interesting to see, because I don't know how many times I've seen a thing where it's like, you know, the camera shots are 1-to-1, but the models have all been redone. But then I think that the voice track is the exact track from 3, that they're just using that.
Yeah. No, it's definitely, it's David Hayter and
Yeah.
Everybody else that's part of that.
So yeah, looks pretty good. I don't know. I mean, like, part of me, this is one of those things where part of me says, Snake Eater 3 HD still looks really good all on its own. But they've got some good lighting effects in here, and everything's upped in the detail level of everything is upped, and the characters look a little bit more realistic. And like this part with Volgan where he's walking across the bridge, I like where they've got this like lightning effect that he's got, and it's a lot tighter and faster, so it just looks more like lightning than like kind of what the PS2, because this is what PS2 game could do as far as like zappy electricity goes. So yeah, I don't know. I'll be more than happy for an excuse to play this game again.
Yeah, well, also hearing that the shots are the exact same, I know is a big thing for you, because I know how much you hated Twin Snakes.
Right. Yes. Yes, very much so. So, yeah, I don't know. There's not much more to say. Like, I like Metal Gear Solid 3. You know what? I'll be really glad. There is something that I think that sometimes, like I was thinking about the Silent Hill 2 remake that's coming out. There is something I think a lot of times that we forget, those of us that played a lot of these games when they were older, that like there are a lot of young people who would never otherwise play one of these games unless there was a modern remake. They wouldn't want to go back and play the PS2 version of the game because it would look like garbage, because they're very much their standard is just modern graphics. And I think Snake Eater's got a really good story. It's kind of a spy thing, and it's a really good story. So I do wonder though if they'll change. There's one part of Snake Eater, there's literally a plot point in this that revolves around somebody grabbing somebody else's dick. There's a plot twist that involves dick grabbing in this game, and I really hope that stays around, because like at the beginning of the game they ask you,
you're a big fan of the dick grabbing, I see.
I think it's a great plot point. Like at the beginning of the game, I didn't realize this until now. At the beginning of the game they ask you, like, I like Metal Gear Solid 1. I like Metal Gear Solid 2. I don't really have any opinion. And if you pick I like Metal Gear Solid 2, the game puts a Raiden mask on Boss. So all the intro cutscenes are with this mask of Raiden from Metal Gear Solid 2 in it. But I'm like, for this remake, is that question even valid anymore? I mean, I guess so. But anyway, talking about Snake Eater for too long. Yeah. Let's see. From there, we got the. This is so weird to me, John. Overwatch has this My Hero Academia crossover.
Yeah.
Where they're putting costumes for My Hero Academia characters, and the costumes are. Let's see if I can get the names all right here. The new nope, can't remember from the start. The new space character, she's got the Aravity costume. Reinhardt has an All Might costume. Reaper has a Shigaraki costume with the hands on the face. I think that's Kimiko has a can't remember her name, the crazy one with the blonde hair who sucks people's blood out. And then the weirdest one to me is that Deku is a Tracer costume.
I mean, it's the right aesthetic.
Yeah.
But yeah.
They didn't have there wasn't another Twinkie character that they could put his costume on. I don't know. This is all well and good. I think these are a little bit better than like the Cowboy Bebop costumes, but you're not going to get me to play Overwatch 2 with your...
Yeah, I've never played it. I briefly thought about it when it popped up, when they started like really pushing it by going, it's on Game Pass.
Right.
And I'm like, it was already free.
Yeah.
Like, what...
Yeah.
What does that mean? Like what is the incentive there?
Yeah. Let's see. From there, we got a DLC for Age of Mythology Retold, which makes a certain amount of sense to me. They've got kind of an Asian-themed pantheon that you'll be able to get. This actually makes more sense to me, because remaking Age of Mythology and then also launching it immediately on Game Pass, it's like, boy, it's kind of a recipe for low sales if you ask me. But adding something like this to get people to chip in an extra like $20 to throw a new faction in, it's a good idea. Kind of say like the way that Starfield had like the early access if you bought if you upgraded to the collector's edition. But I don't know. I'm not really a big Age of Mythology guy. I kind of skipped that.
I never played Age of Mythology.
So, yeah. Let's see. Phil Spencer's talking. yapping about the Game Pass.
I will say one of the things I liked about, or that cracked me up about this presentation, is that anytime they showed like the title card that was like, available on Game Pass or whatever, there's a person in the background with a cat.
Yes.
And the cat always mews.
Yeah, and the cat's always like doing something. Like
the cat's doing something, and then always like when it said available on Game Pass, you just hear mew. Like every time, and it's just like that's.
I thought you were going to mention the way that all of the Xbox executives come out and they have to have like one really stilted line of Japanese because they're at the Tokyo Game Show. So let's see. This is just kind of talking about Game Pass and Xbox. Some little bit Indiana Jones footage.
Well, they also talked about the fact that Indiana Jones will be completely in. Like voice acted in Japanese.
Oh yeah,
and the trailer they showed was Japanese voices and everything. They also said one of the other games was also going to be completely in Japanese. I can't remember what it was.
I don't remember which one that is. Let's see. But
it was like a big thing that they're pushing to have more games that are in. They have. I think Starfield. He said is going to be completely 100% voiced in Japanese as well.
Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, Xbox's been trying desperately to break into the Japanese game market for a long time. Let's see. StarCraft Remastered and StarCraft 2 are going to come to Game Pass November 5th.
Yeah, I mean that's Game Pass PC. That's a good
getting the money.
Like, StarCraft is great.
Yep. Nothing wrong with that. Yeah. I actually don't think I ever played all the way through StarCraft 2. I know I played the Terran campaign, and I think I played the Zurich campaign, but I didn't play the Protoss. So.
All I can say is if you watch the credits and see the customer support, my name's in the credits because I worked at Blizzard at the time. It may not be. I don't know if it's going to be in the credits anymore, but I mean, when it was originally came out, it was for StarCraft 2 and Wings of Liberty and whatever the second one was.
Oh, the Zerg one. Yeah. Oh, okay. So that's when they talked, and then after that, that was when they talked more about Indiana Jones, which I don't know. I mean, I feel like, guys, you've sold me enough on Indiana Jones.
You sold me as much as you can.
Yeah. If I'm not going to buy Indiana Jones, if I'm not going to download Indiana Jones on Game Pass by now, well, But I guess I'm not the person they're trying to. Like, Xbox doesn't have any problems selling shit to Jeff from RageSelect. I'm getting it all.
I will say,
I'm getting everything.
I will say, one of my favorite things in this trailer, though, that they show is a scene. It's a scene where it's like the hand-to-hand combat, and Indy punches a guy in the face, and he slaps him in the face.
Oh yeah.
And I'm like, can I just walk around slapping people? Like, is that a thing that I can just do? Like, never do full punches, just walk up and just slap people in the face and just keep slapping them.
I think I heard somebody that saw it at like a preview event on a podcast that said that there was a lot more shit talking by Indiana Jones than they've really showed off in the trailers, that he's a lot chattier, like doing commentary during the combat. I'm like, all right, sounds good to me.
That's Troy Baker. So
yeah, some collector's editions, yada yada yada. Okay, how about this one? An actual game that we hadn't seen before. Tanuki: Pawn's Summer.
Yeah, this looked like a fun little title.
Yeah,
like a little cozy game where you're a little Tanuki mail delivery person.
Yeah, and it's kind of like
it does sick tricks on a bicycle.
Then you got this like village full of crazy characters, and also you can do other stuff, like you can fish and you can do tricks on your thing, and yeah, I don't know. Looks, I mean, very charming, very simple, very cozy game. Sort of thing I probably would never actually play.
Oh, I'd play it. Like I have a knack for playing I these type of games. Like I'll play them for a little bit. I may not finish it, but
yeah,
I'll play it. Looks cute.
It would be it would not be a surprise to me if I learned that this was like a franchise that somehow we'd never heard of, that was only a Japanese franchise. But very cute trailer, nicely animated. Yeah.
Tanuki Pawn Summer.
Let's see. Another one that we didn't know about is Threads of Time, a HD 2D JRPG that's all about going through different time periods, very Chrono Trigger.
Yeah, the entire time I was watching this trailer, I was like, is this like a new Chrono Trigger game? Like,
yeah.
I'm getting some Like, I know it's not Chrono Trigger, but like, is this like a new game in the franchise? Like, what?
Nope, it's just Humble Games is publishing it, and it's coming from a developer called Rio Games Beyond, and it's like it's got these really nice fully animated cutscenes, and then the actual gameplay is like that kind of Octopath Traveler 2.5 or 2D HD, I guess that's what Square calls it.
Yeah. Where it's like 3D environments with 2D characters.
Yeah, but then they're all like pixelated. So
I mean, it looks fun.
Yeah, it looks great.
I'll play it.
Looks great. I'm looking for something to scratch that RPG itch. Even though I don't know, there's a couple that came out recently that I really need to like sit down with and see. But yeah, everything about this looks absolutely beautiful. So we'll see. I don't think it has like a release date yet. Or at least I didn't see one in there.
Yeah.
We Love Katamari is coming to Xbox, and
it's already out
today. Yep.
Yeah, I actually saw it pop up on Xbox and downloaded it before I even watched the TGS thing. And I was like, I got to this point and I was like, this is already out. Like, they literally just put, this was the announcement of that coming out, and then it came out later today. Yeah,
this is the the remake that came out was like last year, the year before. It's Katamari.
Yeah, you know? It's it was originally the PSP game.
Oh, was it? I thought it was the first one. I thought it was
no. It's not the first one. It's the second one.
Oh, okay. Yeah, it's out. Go get it. Who doesn't love Katamari? Absolutely ridiculous. Yeah, good stuff. Let's see. We got some more information about Fragpunk, which was one of those ones. I think this got announced either.
Yeah, every time I see something about this, I'm like, what? Why? I guess, sure.
Yeah.
Fragpunk 4v4, 5v5, whatever it is, shooter, cool. These aren't going to do well anymore because no one plays these anymore.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I get the impression, because this is the one where it's like it's 5v5 and then there's cards. So you have like, you play specific cards that are like modifiers that do different things. They showed off a few, like one, lets you stay up in the air longer. And I don't know. This is not, I mean, when this was first announced, I think I said the same thing where it's just like, this is definitely not my kind of game. Even if it was the best version of this, I still wouldn't really be all that interested in playing it. I've kind of run the gamut on, don't you want to go online and play a twitchy shooter with a bunch of 14-year-olds who kick your ass all the time? And I'm like, no, I do not.
I mean, hell, even when I was 14 years old, I didn't want to do that. Mind you, when I was 14 years old, that wasn't even a thing, but because I'm old.
When I was 20, I think, I was really into Counter-Strike for a little while, but that was like before it even went into 1.0, back when it was still a beta. But it just didn't, I don't know. It was fine for a little while, but nah. I mean, the interesting thing about this one is I love the character designs. I love the way
they look cool.
The game itself looks really interesting. If this was a single player game, I totally want to play it. But I just don't want to do the online thing. And they're having a closed beta, and then this is coming out on October 10th. So it's like right around the corner. By the time this comes out, it'll just be like a couple of days until it comes out. So, yeah, that's Fragpunk. We got a new trailer from there for Metaphor Refantazio. Yet another mostly animated trailer. I feel like. I ended up playing the demo for this. I don't know. Do you have any? Have you been keeping up with this at all?
No desire, no interest in this.
Okay. I'm going to give it.
That's not a slight against the game. It's just nothing about it grabs me.
Well, one of the things that I learned that I didn't know ahead of time when I played the demo was they have this system where you see the enemies out in like the world on the field map, and if you're a higher level than the characters on the field map, in most of the Atlas JRPGs, you can you have a button to attack enemies to get like an advantage on the in the fight, and if they're a lower level than you can just kill them without having to engage in a random battle, and you still get the XP and you still get drops from them. You just don't have to go through the whole turn-based combat thing. I don't know. I really like this one. I played the demo, and there's something really weird going on with this game that I enjoy. I'm interested in playing basically a Persona game set in a very strange medieval fantasy world as opposed to a high school. I don't want to have to go to high school. I went to high school. I didn't like it. So, but yeah. And this is coming out like at the end of this week or next week, depending on when October 11th. Let's see. From there, we got this big deep dive into Altair, Yumiya, the Alchemist of Memories, and the Envisioned Land. Obviously, Xbox is trying to get people who like JRPGs to play things on their system.
They're trying to be like, hey, Japan, please like our console.
Yep. This went into a lot of the background of this, and then talked a lot about like kind of what you're doing in the game. It's kind of a like a real-time JRPG, and there's a bunch of other systems. I gotta be honest, I watched this when it first came out, and I'm kind of having a hard time remembering all the stuff that was in here. Like it was, I don't know. It was some. I don't know if you feel this, John, but like some of this JRPG stuff is starting to blur together for me, where I can't remember which one was that one and which one was this one, and what makes this one different than the last one.
That's fair.
Yeah, I don't know.
That's a fair assessment, I think.
It's part of a franchise. It looks good. It seems like if you're into JRPGs, your cup doth runneth over, because there's a lot of stuff out right now. There's a lot of turn-based RPGs. Oh, I guess this one does have a building mechanic to it, where you can make houses, and then you can build like villages. People will ask you to like make things for them, and then you can fulfill their requests. So they're kind of tying in a little bit to the to that kind of Harvest Moon, Stardew Valley kind of stuff. So, wait, is this a different? This is a different game.
No, it's
same game.
Same game.
I think this might actually be. Yeah, no, this is a different game. This is Asurajang Rumble, which is a battle royale game that we heard about a long time ago. It's I remember this one.
Oh, right. It's isometric. Sorry, like you said earlier, all the stuff kind of runs together.
It's starting to run together. Well, especially because everybody's using the same style of anime. Like, I could have told you from the intro to that was the new Honkai Star Rail expansion. Like, you wouldn't know. This one I think is kind of interesting because this one is a battle royale, but part of it is that it's got, if I remember correctly, kind of Smash Brothers rules, where it's on these floating islands, and to beat people you're trying to like get their health down far enough to knock them off of those islands. Which actually makes a decent amount of sense, but then also a battle royale game in 2024 like localized entirely on the Xbox. No, I like it. It's a bold move. I don't know if anybody's interested in this anymore.
Yeah, let's see if it works out for them, Cotton.
Yeah. I don't know. Let's see. After that, we got a new trailer for Bleach Rebirth of Souls.
So I'm going to say something here.
Oh.
It freaked me out that they used the English voice cast for this.
Yeah.
Like, that's all I want to say. Like, I was like, Bleach is kind of huge. A big deal. This is for Tokyo Game Show. This is supposed to be shown to a Japanese audience, and you made a big deal about having Japanese voice acting in all your Microsoft games. Why the fuck is this trailer in English?
Could it be one of those things where there was a different stream for Japan? Because I know, like with Nintendo, right? You'll find out that there was like a different game on the Japanese stream.
Maybe I don't know, but I literally, when I was like, that's Johnny Young Buck, this is Bleach.
Yeah.
Like, wait. Why is this in English?
So, are you the person I know who actually has watched Bleach, or was actually a fan of Bleach?
I haven't watched any of the newer stuff, but I have watched the original Bleach. I think I got around to somewhere a little after episode 100.
Okay. Does this do anything for you?
No, not at all.
Not at all. Because I feel like this is one of those things where it seems like the art style seems like it's better than some of the previous stuff, and it seems like whoever's making it definitely has like. I don't understand Bleach because I don't watch Bleach.
Fair enough.
But,
like I don't understand anything that's going on because this is so far past what I've seen.
Oh,
so.
Okay. Well, yeah, I don't know. I guess still looking for somebody who
Bleach
knows
is one of those weird animes where it ended, and then like
they dragged it out of the grave.
Well, it was one of those things where like 10 years later, here's this new anime. Oh, by the way, it turns out this new anime, like at the very end, turns out to be set in the Bleach universe, and then they did a spinoff that was another Bleach anime, and it was like, what the fuck?
So kind of a Boruto thing, but a little bit more covert about it.
Yeah,
maybe?
it was weird. It was weird.
Okay. Well, speaking of weird animes, after that we got a trailer for something I haven't seen in a while. Synduality Echo of Ada. This is actually I actually watched like 4 episodes of the anime that this is based on, where it's like this like a lot of the world is ruined and you have these guys with mechs that go out to try to find like scavenge stuff, but
I kind of like the design of the mechs.
They're very like bulbous. They're very kind of like industrial, but then of course every mech has to be activated with a hot anime waifu who gets in the mech as well. So it's also like, and then, this guy finds this girl, and it turns out he always wanted to be a pilot, and she's one of these activator AI ladies. And so then they go out and do the thing.
Yeah, it looked interesting. Like I was another one of those, well, maybe I'll play it if I got access to it.
I would say I don't know. It's interesting because I do like a good mech game, but something about the way that this has been presented makes it look really like it's going to be really like kind of grindy and online. And
yeah, you know what a lot of the scenes reminded me of?
What's that?
Oh God, why am I blanking on the name of it? The game from BioWare.
Now you got me. Fuck. It's not Evo Tinction. That's what I played last week. Nope. Oh, God. What? Okay. This must be resolved.
But you know what game I'm talking about?
Yes.
The one that basically killed most of the goodwill that BioWare had. Anthem. Thank you.
God damn, dude. My brain. Wow. Oof.
Like just the way the mechs walking through the foliage and everything just gave me weird Anthem vibes.
For me, it's just that I keep seeing too many mechs on the screen at one time, which makes me think that this is going to be you want to play it with your friends type of thing, which a lot of times
that's what the Anthem vibes were.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Well, there is that. So, I don't know. I stopped watching the anime after 3 episodes because it wasn't really grabbing me. And
I didn't even know it was an anime.
Yeah, I think it's on Hulu. I think it's on Hulu.
Oh, weird.
But anyway, I don't know. Maybe if it's on Game Pass or something. It's coming out in January. Maybe we'll give it a shot. I don't know. Or maybe if it gets really good, like word of mouth. Who knows? Hey, John, Fallout 76 is getting dogs and cats living together.
Every time I hear Fallout 76, I'm like, that's still a thing?
Yep.
Like, apparently people who play it like it now, but I'm just like, no.
Yeah. Yeah, you've got dogs.
That's cool.
They're good-looking dogs and cats. That's fine. If you've got enough of you know what, Fallout 76, if you've got enough of a fan base to keep paying people to build stuff for your game, then good on you. You've taken the RageSelect approach to business, which I appreciate since I built it. Let's see. From there, we saw they're doing the Suikoden 1 and 2 remake.
Yeah.
And they showed some kind of side-by-side comparisons where they're adding like widescreen, and they're adding some extra particle effects and cleaning stuff up. I never really played these games. I tried a few times, but I was never really able to get into them. But I'm glad that they're out there. I
had some friends that were really into these games, so I know they're happy. They're excited. But.
Yeah, I can never default anybody or I can never fault anybody for wanting to have the ability to play an old game that they liked on a new
with
console.
a flashy new veneer.
Yeah, especially because it looks like they've really tried to keep the models and stuff the same, and then just kind of flash it up a little bit around the edges instead of doing like a full remake. So, yep, that's coming March 6th of next year. After that, we got All You Need Is Help, which I'd seen the trailer for before, which is a weird game where you play as like.
It's a 2 to 4 player game where you and up to other people play as like Tetris blocks, Tetrinos, and you have to do various things. Like sometimes it's get into a shape, sometimes you have to get over an area, sometimes there's a puzzle involved. But yeah, it looks neat, but it's a 4 player, like 2 to 4 player game. Like you're not going to be playing it by yourself.
Yeah. And it's on Game Pass. And that was another one of those, and it's out today things.
Yeah. Looks cute. Everything looks like it's made of yarn.
Yeah. Yeah. Tetrads or whatever, made out of like little yarn characters with little faces that are all just like, ooh, ah, ooh. So, I don't know. I remember when they announced this, and it was like, that seems all right, but not really my big, not the jammiest of jams for Jeff, but an interesting concept. So. Let's see. After that, we got to something that is a big thing.
Yeah, this game I'm actually interested in.
For Jeff. This is the best that Slitterhead has ever looked. Like, I feel like every trailer, it looks every consecutive trailer makes it look better and better. Like, the lighting engine on this trailer looks way better than the last one I saw that I think was at Summer Games Fest, to be honest. Yeah, so Slitterhead is being made by Kenichiro Toyama, who made Silent Hill, right? The original. Or wait, am I doing that wrong?
No, I don't remember.
I think it was. Let's see.
I shouldn't try to say anything that's any type of definitive answer on anything because I'm always wrong.
He made the original Silent Hill. He made Siren, like Siren Blood Curse.
Oh yeah, I like the Siren games.
And then Gravity Rush. Those were his big franchises. And so he has this new game which looks so much like Parasite the Maxim.
Now that you've mentioned it, yeah, it does.
But he talks about something that I love that I don't get to see in games where you play as like this force. You don't have a direct character. You are inhabiting different characters. And what's really cool is I think we saw some of that in some of the previous things, but here they show this kind of idea of swapping between characters like mid-combat, like getting a boss's attention and then like cutting to another character behind them to get a backstab.
And it also, well, I don't think they said it kind of looked like, depending on like different types of people have different
like affinities,
like, you know, certain characters may be really good with certain weapons, or certain body types may be faster or stronger or whatever. And that when you go into a battle and you see the people there in the area, you can like possess certain people and take certain actions with them, and then switch to another person and do like a different.
No, it looks really cool. You know what? It looks weird and janky and awesome.
Yeah.
It looks like one of them weird, awesome, janky games from the olden days. It looks like, I mean, it doesn't look exactly like a PS3 game, but it looks like something weird that you would play on the PS3 where you're like, wait, what's the mechanic in here? You don't actually have a character, but unlike something like what the Watch Dogs Legion, it seems more like Omicron the Nomad Soul than it does like Watch Dogs Legion, where your character isn't really that important. It's more about fighting these crazy weird monsters. Everything about this one is high up on my list. I really
like the creature design.
And I also like the way the combat looks, because John, I'm sure you could probably feel this a little bit. I want to play more third-person action games that aren't based on Souls mechanics.
Fair enough.
That are just regular as. No, I got my Souls games. I got Elden Ring. I can boot it up whenever I want to. I really don't want every game to be a Souls game.
Fair enough.
That's why I like Stellar Blade so much. I was just like, hey, it's just like a Devil May Cry style third-person action game.
I also like the fact this game takes place in like 1995.
Yeah.
So like I kind of like the aesthetic because I'm an old man. Nostalgia.
I think that also maybe plays into the idea of why it feels like an older game, is because it kind of looks like if you told me this was a remaster of an original Xbox game, I'd be like, oh, I never heard of that game, but I believe you.
Yeah, or like a remaster of like a PS2 or PS3 game.
Right. Absolutely. 100%. So, yeah, I can't wait. I don't know if there's a full release date for that one yet. Let me see. Let me look that up real quick. Because I thought that there was one. I think it's pretty soon, actually. I keep forgetting that we're almost done with this year.
Yeah, no, it's crazy that we're in October.
November 8th. So, like, in a month.
Yeah.
Slitterhead Games coming out. Let's see. From there, it's time to take a break.
Oh.
I got too far into the rhythm. So, yeah, we're going to take a break. And then when we come back, we're going to finish this up. And then we've got some more news. And then we've got some trailers. And then the podcast will be over. So that's a preview of things. You know how in the trailers these days, they put like what's going to happen in the trailer at the beginning of the trailer before you watch the trailer?
Oh, yeah.
It's kind of like that. So stick around. We're back, and we have more Xbox left to go. Continuing, we are looking at the Star Bites, which is kind of like a turn-based mech RPG on like a ruined planet with some kind of cartoony characters. I don't know. I kind of like the look of this one.
It looks neat.
I don't know. I am a sucker for some mech stuff, and this one is kind of interesting. Yeah, I don't know. I'm glad to see that mech stuff is back, but I'm still waiting for something that's as good as Armored Core.
Fair enough.
Because I've played Armored Core 6 like 8 times now, and I just don't know that I'm good to play it again. So, but yeah, this one looks kind of interesting. Kind of a wasteland thing. It's got that like cell shaded anime characters look to it. Kind of reminds me a little bit of what Sandland.
You know, I actually was like, when I first was watching the trailer, because I kind of was half paying attention to what it was, I was like, is this Sandland? And then I was like, wait, no.
Yeah. And I also thought that because the main character was like a redheaded lady, that it was that weird game that came out, the like Caravan or whatever last week. But let's see. After that, we got another look at the Dragon Quest III HD 2D remake. It's a little bit deeper dive, kind of just talking about just kind of going through a scenario, showing some of the combat, showing the way that the game looks. Looks an awful lot like a Dragon Quest game.
Yes, it does.
I don't know. I'm somewhat interested just because I played Dragon Quest 1 when I was a kid, and I couldn't beat it, and then I beat it later on. But apparently, like, this one eventually is going to have the first 3, because Dragon Quest 3 is like a prequel to 1, so it goes like that, and then 1, and then 2, or something like that. So, but yeah, looks good. I mean, again, nothing. I don't think there's anything like super new here outside of the fact that I guess there's like a monster battling system. There's like an arena where you can bring your own monsters to fight other monsters. Yeah. Let's see. After that, we got the news that Trials of Mana and Legend of Mana are both on
Game Pass today.
Game Pass, yep. Or
the day that this aired.
Yeah. One of those is one of those was was that a remake of the first one? I don't know. There were so many Mana games. I was hoping it was the new one, but it was not. So, because the reviews for that one have been pretty good, but then I've also heard that it's a little bit, I don't know, that kind of drags in the third act. I'm not sure if I want to sign up for something that I know is going to get weird 2/3 of the way through. So. And then they closed out with the Final Fantasy Pixel Remaster games being put out on Xbox, and I believe on Game Pass as well, right? Yeah, or no. No, not on Game Pass.
Yeah.
So they're available.
I don't think they're on Game Pass.
Yeah, they're available on the Xbox, but they're not available on Game Pass. I'm a little bummed with these because I really wish that I know that they put in this other font that's kind of better than just the real smooth font that they used in the beginning. But I kind of wish, like, I bought one of these and I streamed it a little bit for the Discord, and it's really easy on the PC to just go get the original font that was in the original game and then just sub it in. And I kind of wish that they would just do that instead of having this kind of weird smoothed over version. Also, if you haven't played Final Fantasy 6 in a while, that game moves. Like, I forget with modern JRPGs how they're very, like, you know, slow, and they have a lot of tutorials because of all the different characters in Final Fantasy 6. That game just fucking, like, hits the ground running, puts its foot on the gas, and, like, every 20 minutes you're playing a new set of characters in a new set of circumstances. So highly recommend anybody. I really wish they would do a full remake of 6. Everybody, I don't know, it seems like everything past 6 is getting remade, and not that one with the, like, the DS one where they all have pointy feet. I didn't like that. I want the original stuff. So, and that was the Xbox show. A couple good things in there.
Yeah, I mean, the biggest takeaway is it's Microsoft continuing to go, Japan, please love us.
Right.
Please.
Yeah, I mean, I could definitely say,
and this is me, an avid, like, I don't own a PS5. I own an Xbox Series X, but
yeah. I could say that, like, of the stuff that was in here, I think that probably Metal Gear and Slitterhead were the two things that I was the most interested in.
Slitterhead was definitely the highlight for me.
Yeah. There's a good amount of JRPG stuff in here, but I only have like 2 of those a year in me. So
yeah.
I usually have to try to choose pretty choose carefully. So all right, well then let's see if we can get through all the rest of this news. There was I was so mad. There was a Death Stranding 2 panel that was all in Japanese, whereas Hideo Kojima and a bunch of people.
Okay.
And they showed off some stuff from Death Stranding 2, and I was like, ooh, gameplay? And they were like, no, cutscenes. So there were a few different cutscenes.
And a photo mode.
Yeah, and the weirdest photo mode, a very strange photo mode.
It's photo mode the only way Kojima can do it.
Yeah. So they did show off, we had seen Elle Fanning's character in one of the previous trailers.
Yes.
But they gave her a name. Her name is Tomorrow. And then there's a character played by Shioli Katsuna called Rainy, who's pregnant. And they're kind of talking about, like, children being born in, like, because Tomorrow is from, like, the beach, right? So people aren't born there, and she's kind of fascinated by Tomorrow and the fact that she's pregnant and stuff. They'd show a little bit more of Doll Man, who apparently is based on, like, a real, like, his likeness is based on a person. So, like, they do the whole thing where it's like, the captain based on George Miller, and they're like, Doll Man based on this guy. And I was like, looked him up, and it was just like, it's just a guy that looks like the doll that Doll Man is. So they showed off a cutscene. They showed off a little bit more of the inside of the ship that they're on. I don't know. There's not a whole hell of a lot. They showed that Nicholas Winding Refn is back as Heartman. And they had a kind of an interesting scene where, for anybody who didn't play the first one, he dies every 20 minutes. He has a heart attack and then is dead for a few minutes, then is shocked back to life. And he goes to the death realm to search for his family who are there. But he now has, like, this exoskeleton where when he has a heart attack, he can just fall down wherever he is, and it just catches him and lets him be, like, without fucking slamming down into the ground, which is pretty cool. I want one of those. I want to be able to just can drop to the ground wherever I am and be in a comfortable position because I've got an exoskeleton to just catch me and, you know, let me chillax wherever I drop. Yeah, and then as you mentioned, there was a thing where they showed off. I guess they showed off the what's his face, George Miller as the ship captain, because this is like Guillermo del Toro in the first one, where it's George Miller's likeness, but it's not him. It's an actor playing the character, but just in his, like, skin, basically. Marty Roan plays him. He's got a little tar cat demon looking thing. So yeah, I mean, I wish that there had been more to it. I guess the only other thing outside of the The photo mode was weird because it's just like Fragile and Tomorrow and Rainy just kind of goofing, like just hanging out and doing different
looks
poses.
Like a Polaroid once it's done.
Yeah, and then when you take a picture, it adds all these lighting effects to make it look like a Polaroid. I've known for a long time that Hideo Kojima has like some kind of weird fetish with photo modes, like the whole Metal Gear Solid 4 where you're photographing the Beauty and the Beast core. It's just very strange. It's just very strange. I don't really know what to say about it. I'm glad that Death Stranding 2 is a thing. There was also, during that conference, there was a part where basically he made some intimations that made it sound like it was on track for a 2025 release, which is good. Oh, yeah, there was also one other thing where I don't think it's in. I got this video online that is it's got like 8 minutes of what they showed, and then it's just got a bunch of the trailers pasted onto the end of it. But there was also a dance number where it was like this J-pop guy doing a dance and then he had like 4 doll men backing him up doing the dance, and it was a very strange little thing. No gameplay. No goddamn gameplay.
Are we sure there is any? Ever?
I saw it in one of the previous ones. I saw fucking Sam walking across a desert, carrying, like, dragging the boxes behind him, and I'm like, I know there's gameplay in there somewhere, and I want to know more. So, so I think that's kind of it for that one, outside of the photo shoot and then the J-pop thing, Daiichi Miura. They also had a like a streetwear thing, these jackets that they all came out and put on, and they're like these very. What's so weird is that because Death Stranding is kind of weirdly grounded, and that like Sam is just wearing like a raincoat, like it doesn't look like a cool Chris from Resident Evil jacket. It just kind of looks like a jacket. These things were $1,700 a piece, and they sold out immediately. They're pretty cool looking jackets, and if it was like $150, I would consider buying one.
Yeah.
But every time there's this new trend where they make like these like, oh, here's a jacket based on Bloodborne, and it's $2,000, and I'm just like, I don't have $2,000 to spend on a fucking jacket, and if I did, I wouldn't be able to wear it without being uncomfortable.
I know that feeling.
I like the idea of this, but because it's got a little like Dooms thing on it. Oh, the little crypto buyout zipper, like little plush crypto buyout zipper thing. I don't know. Did you end up playing Death Stranding?
I played the first Death Stranding.
Okay.
I didn't beat it, but I got pretty far into it.
Okay. Yeah, I don't know. I'm really looking forward to the second one, and I think it's kind of weird that it might be getting close. I guess Kojima does play it pretty close to the vest of like a one trailer every year.
I mean, if you remember the first Death Stranding game, we didn't know shit about that game until like right before it came out.
Yeah, and then right before it came out, there was a bunch of new stuff for it. Let's see. We don't have time to really dig deep into this, but Unreal also had a big 3-day Unreal Fest in Seattle, where they showed off a bunch of stuff. There was this is the sort of thing, I don't think this year there was too much of it for me to even watch. There was a 2-hour keynote, and then every day had like 3 5-hour live streams of talking to people and looking at the stuff, and it was too much. But what I can say is that there were a couple of things to note. This is really smart. Epic has a new thing called Launch Everywhere with Epic, because Epic just recently put their storefront on phones in Europe. Like they actually got through like the legal process to put a separate storefront on iPhones and Androids, at least in Europe and also in the United States, that you can buy stuff directly from Unreal through, bypassing the whole profit taking thing that you get out of the normal phone stores. So one of the things that they're doing is they're launching this thing called Launch Everywhere with Epic, and what this is, it's so fascinating. It reduces the royalty rates on games made that are sold on their store from 5% to 3.5%, as long as they also launch on Epic's store. So like if you launch a game on Steam and you launch it on the Epic Game Store at the same time, they cut the royalty rate to the bone, basically, of what they're going to take from you.
Interesting.
And all of that except for on iOS games, because the iOS has like they're taking away the requirement on iOS systems for right now, because Apple apparently has some kind of like penalty that you pay if you don't exclusively launch stuff on their store. And so they're basically like trying to encourage people to make up the difference, but like, look, if you launch on our thing too, then we'll give you a discount up front just to cover what you're going to end up having to pay Apple to encourage people. So I don't know, that's a good a business strategy as anything.
Yeah.
They talked a little bit about Unreal Engine 5.5, and they had an interesting little tech demo that was about their new lighting system called Mega Lights, that allows Unreal Engine to have thousands and thousands and thousands of real-time lighting sources all at the same time that cast shadows in real time. And it was interesting because they use their Echo character to show it off in this kind of environment. But halfway through, they said that like that demo's running on a PS5. Which I was like, that is impressive.
That is impressive, yeah.
Basically, kind of a version of like Nanite, where they let you have the mega scans, and then it automatically like reduces the details, so you don't have to. This seems like a way to get really complicated light source environments without having to optimize them, because the engine is going to do a lot more optimization for you. Let's see. There's also some stuff with animation that wasn't a big deal. Fortnite is available on Android globally and iOS in Europe. They're folding 3 of their asset stores into this new thing called Fab. So Fab will have the Unreal Engine Marketplace, the Sketchfab store, ArtStation Marketplace, and Quixel.com that does those big mega scans of stuff. And they're basically just rolling the whole thing into one big store that you could buy assets off of, which is kind of nice. They also are integrating some new stuff into the Fortnite development engine, because you can currently build stuff in Fortnite. They're adding the first-person camera mode, and then they're adding in the ability to kind of do more melee focused islands. And with that, they're adding all these Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle assets. Like they have the Ninja Turtle assets, but they also have like a bunch of new stuff. They have environments. They've got a full Technodrome. They've got all kinds of like the enemies and stuff to try to like encourage users to use that, to use those assets in order to make their own thing. And like, they did a little promo for it, showing them off. I was actually thinking like, if anything could ever make Michael start building video games, it would be a whole set of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle themes assets where you could just kind of make your own TMNT game from scratch, especially because you could do all this inside of Fortnite, even on consoles.
Oh, wow.
Because that's the thing that they showed off before, or that was like last year's big thing, was adding this kind of editor into Fortnite. So they're definitely, I appreciate that Unreal is definitely taking steps to do interesting stuff in this space, whether it's refining their engine or allowing other people to create stuff.
Yeah.
I don't know. John, would you ever consider making stuff in Fortnite?
No. I don't play Fortnite. I don't even have it installed. I won't.
Yeah. Okay. Let's see. In other news, we had another Epic news. Epic has launched a lawsuit against Google and Samsung specifically, because they got the rights to be able to let on Android phones to let you install the Unreal Store. But what they're taking them to court for is that apparently it's like a bitch and a half to download and install the APK. Like you have to go into all these settings to reduce your security and like allow. Like in the Samsung, they said in their filing that in the Samsung settings don't have the security setting like if you go into the settings on a Samsung phone, you have to like drill down into the specific Google settings so that you can't even find them in like the Samsung's version of that stuff. All of this I think is really good. Like I think that they made a pretty good point in one of their filings where they talk about how like the line from Google and Samsung and stuff is that we don't want to allow people to install unlicensed APKs on their phones because it could hurt them. It could open up security holes. But that like if that was your true purpose, then you could evaluate something like the Epic launcher and say, this is not a security flaw.
Yeah.
Like, we know this isn't a security flaw. It's totally allowed. But the fact that you're just blanket blocking everything means that this is more of a way to try to stifle innovation and third parties having access to your platform, basically. So, yeah, they're taking them to court again. Last time this happened, Google just kind of didn't show up or make an argument and just kind of got a summary judgment against them for this. So, I don't know.
We'll see what happens.
Might be the same thing. Let's see. Speaking of lawsuits, we got a little bit more information about the Nintendo Power World suit.
Yeah, what's going on with that?
So there were two patents that were filed in the U.S. in July of this year that have come back up because people think that these patents, because they were filed this year after Power World came out, were basically Nintendo trying to shore up their ability once they get done in Japanese court to then sue Power World in America as well. And there's also this gets really boring, and I looked into just a little bit. There's some kind of international patent thing where if you get a patent in one country, like you're part of this group that shares between countries, like you kind of get a leg up for just rubber stamping that patent across the board across these like trading partners. So the idea is also that like if they can successfully sue Pocket Pair in Japan and they have the same patent in the United States, that judgment will be a lot easier to apply across the board to them moving forward. The problem is that from what I can see with these two patents, Nintendo is a little over their skis with this one. They're taking a chance because one of the patents is from Pokemon Arceus, and it's the ability for you to summon a Pokemon and then get on it and ride it through the environment, which is like, that's very broad. The second one is the ability to throw a ball to catch creatures and then throw a ball to summon a creature and give them directions like you can in Arceus. Both of these patents were rejected in the United States, but not like finally rejected. They were like initially rejected. One was rejected as being a little bit too broad. Let's see if I can find here. One of them was lacking subject matter eligibility, and then the other was rejected for obviousness. Obviousness was the one of just summoning and getting on a creature, and then the other one was the one, the ball one was one for lacking subject matter eligibility. I don't know. It's interesting because Nintendo is usually very like cautious and conservative with litigation. Yeah. And like they took their time like before they filed the suit against Pocket Pair, but like I don't know, because they couldn't get them on likeness. They figured out they couldn't do that, so they're trying to get them on systems. But these are very broad concepts that they very well could just get dismissed as being like, you can't fucking patent I throw a ball at a monster and I get that monster in my inventory, right?
Yeah.
So
I mean, that's true. It could be interesting and to see where this goes. But I mean, at the same time, when Power World was announced, everyone went, "How is Nintendo not suing them?"
Yeah.
You know, so
I don't know. It'll be interesting because I do think that Nintendo could use a little bit of humbling in the legal world because they are very litigious. Like they really are I think they're overly protective of some of their stuff in a way that like, you know, you get people that are making fan Pokemon games and they're just fucking no, like, you know.
Yeah.
So yeah, On the Power World front, though, Power World is actually moving forward to make a mobile version of Power World. There's a licensing agreement with Krafton to basically put Power World on phones. I think that Power World might be, they've got like a merchandising arm now with agreements that they've had. They've obviously got an agreement with Xbox because Power World was on Game Pass, right? When it came out?
Yeah.
Initially. They've obviously put their thing on Sony. Like Power World might actually have grown to the point where like they've got their hands in too many pies that like they have allies with a financial stake in making sure that Power World doesn't get shut down.
Yeah.
Who might be willing to, fight against Nintendo or at least provide resources that could help them in the fight. So it's been interesting to see how fast that company has blown up off of just this one idea that people seem to like. So I don't know. Did you have any like specific thoughts about Nintendo's suit against them, or like do you think it's a good thing that they're suing them? Or
I don't know.
Okay,
I'm gonna be honest. I don't really have any like it was more of a when I heard the news. It was more of a okay. Well, I thought this was going to happen much sooner, but I guess it's happening now.
Yeah. After doing those 5 years of podcasting, Nintendo suing another company? The hell you say?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't know. We'll have to see how it goes. Let's see. Speaking of laws, there's a new law in California that is going to require companies to put a big label on games if they have an online component that could potentially be shut down. Now, this is whether this gets outside of California, it'll probably be adopted as just a sticker that gets put on the back of the box type of thing. But California lawmakers basically came out and said, if if this is the sort of thing that could eventually be changed over time, depending on like if the servers get shut down. Actually, what it says is that so this is from a Kotaku article. It says it warns consumers that they don't actually own the content, but instead are licensing it and could lose access to it in the future. So, but then what's interesting is that this is if you're making, what is the one at the end? If you're making an offline game or a single player game, then like it's completely exempt from this. It's only if it has online components that are based on a server that could eventually be shut down. Which like
that seems reasonable.
Yeah, I think that's fine. Like put a label on it, and then like I'll know. I'll be able to evaluate that moving forward. So, let's see. Speaking of Ubisoft, the Ubisoft labor union, Les Syndicats des Travailleurs du Video, I don't know, are having a big strike. As we found out in the past, French labor unions are a lot more metal than American labor unions. Ubisoft is trying to force all employees back into the office 3 days a week, mandatory, regardless of whatever they were told or whatever agreements they had in the past.
And then someone screamed out, "Get la guillotine!"
Right. And the Frenchmen were like, no, let's all go strike. But apparently, I don't know. I don't think this is a good move for Ubisoft. Like,
when is it ever?
Well, the problem at this point is it's like I looked at Ubisoft's stock last week, which is like almost as low as it was in their initial public offering. Like if you look at the graph, like in 2018 it jumps up and then it comes down, and then in 2020 it jumps up. It was like $20 a share at its height, and it's like $2 a share right now. Like, you would like to try to keep the talented people who work at your company and not piss them off over something as stupid as you must come to work for 3 days, every week when you haven't had to for several years. Or I actually have a tip for the bosses, John.
Good tip from Jeff.
Yeah.
Listen out.
Okay. If you want people to come back to the office, if you want to do that, I have a solution. Make it a 32-hour work week. Make it a 4-day work week. Say, okay, listen, everybody, you got to come back to the office. Sorry, it's not my thing, but to reward you for all of your service, all the studies in the world say that people can get all their work done in 4 days at the office, right? Like, people spend a lot of time in the office just fucking around. Most of your shit gets done in like very small amount of time. Make it a 4-day work week. Come back to the office, but you only have to work 4 days. You get a 3-day weekend every week of your life. There you go. That's a good deal, right? And then people are like, oh, no, okay, maybe we don't strike. So,
well, isn't the whole thing is they only want them to work 3 days?
they want them to be in the office 3 days.
Okay.
But they still have to work a full work week. It's just they're mandatory 3 days in the office.
Okay.
So.
And then crunch happens and it's mandatory no days off.
Right. I don't know. I'm not going to go into that again. We don't have time for that. Oh, shit. We really don't have time for that. Let's see. Hi-Res Studios, the developer of Smite 2, has laid off an undetermined number of employees. They just put Smite 2 into the kind of paid early access with the Founders Pack, and you get access to the thing early.
Yeah.
I'm not sure that all of the reports have no indication of how many people have been laid off. I didn't get the impression that Smite itself was so wildly successful that the sequel was going to be bringing in a huge number of people. So this isn't entirely surprising, but it's always a bummer. It's always a bummer.
It is always a bummer because it feels like it's every week some studio is laying off a bunch of people.
Yeah. I wish I knew a little bit more, though. I wish I knew how many it was. Let's see. Speaking of bummers, I've debated whether to put this by the other Nintendo lawsuit, but Nintendo has bullied, I think, the last big Switch emulator off of the internet, basically. Ryujinx, which was Yuzu and Ryujinx. They got Yuzu earlier this year. They came after Ryujinx, and the founder of that on their Discord put out a statement where they basically just said, like, yeah, I got contacted by Nintendo, and it seems like Nintendo's tack here is like, hey, if you shut everything down voluntarily and delete all this shit, then we're not going to come after you legally. Do you want to fight us in court, or do you want to just take all this down? And since most of these are really small organizations, they're just taking it down. So yeah, I think that's the last one. I think there might still be some. There's got to be some of the code from both of those out there somewhere, but I kind of wish that these, like, when Tears of the Kingdom got leaked and then the Yuzu forums were like, they were putting out emulators with fixes for problems in the leaked ROM of the next Zelda game, right? Like, they were specifically patching for the pirated ROM that was out there. It's like, that's just too explicit, man. Like, that's just too much. And one of the things that Nintendo will say about this stuff is their argument has been that if you look on, like, the Reddits for, like, this, half that Reddit will be, where can I get ROMs and how do I get this one ROM working, and, like, technical support for how do I steal the games. Yeah. Which you kind of have to just, it can't be that connected. It has to be really disconnected in a way that's like, here's the emulator. The way over here is a bunch of instructions on how to get it working that is in no way connected to the people who are making this emulation software. So, let's see. Microsoft has a question for game developers, and it's, why are you not making games for the Xbox? Apparently, there's been a lot of games recently that have been like, yeah, PlayStation 5, PC, and the Switch. And everybody's like, what about the Xbox? And they're like,
Well, I mean, even looking at Capcom, for example, like, they have, like, some of their fighting game collections where it's like, oh, and it's out now on Switch and PS5. When's it coming out on the Xbox? A year from now.
Yeah. There was actually a story about Enotria, the last song, which was this kind of like Italian Souls game, where the head developer had to get on Twitter and be like, at Xbox, I've been waiting for a response for submitting this for, like, the store launching in 4 days, and I haven't heard back from anybody in 2 months. At Phil Spencer, can you fucking do anything? And, like, they got that shit together. But yeah, Microsoft put out a blog September 30th basically asking for 100%, like, are you making games for the Xbox? If so, what's bad about it? Are you not making games for the Xbox? If so, why not? Are you a developer that has nothing to do with the Xbox? if so, what are your thoughts on the Xbox? Basically just like throwing the door open to like, how can we make this process easier so that we're not in that position that you just described, where like something that should very much be coming out on that platform is just not, and everybody's like, but why? Why is it going to take 6 more months to get this thing out on the platform that I own? So, which I think, I don't know, as a person whose primary console is the Xbox, I guess the question is like, are you satisfied with your Xbox?
I mean, I am. I am satisfied with my Xbox. I use it every day. I play games on it every day, and I play games that I like and enjoy. Are there certain games that I'm upset that I can't play because they're not on Xbox?
Yeah.
Yes. A lot of those are exclusive titles that I'm going to eventually have to break down and buy a PS5 for.
Sure.
And I understand that, and that will happen eventually. But at the same time, I am in... there's certain games that, like I'd like to see on the Xbox just because I'd like to be able to play them. Like,
sure.
But
it's strange to see that gap when there's no good reason outside of like business stuff, right?
Yeah.
It's not a hardware thing or it's not a will thing. It's more of just strange static. So, let's see. Speaking of Microsoft, let's talk about Blizzard. Apparently, Blizzard is taking yet another crack at a StarCraft shooting game. This will be the 3rd time that they have tried this, if you count StarCraft Ghost. And then I think that, what was the other one? This article talking about... there was something called Project Ares that was in development and then didn't go anywhere.
Because it wasn't good.
Because it wasn't good. You know what? There's a little side note. Jason Schreier, right?
Yeah.
Do you know he's got a book coming out this week about Blizzard?
I saw an excerpt from it. Yeah.
I'm really I've been saving my Audible credit for this month because I want to listen to it because his last one was great.
His first book was really good.
Yeah, and I really want to hear. I was listening on Triple Click talking about like, kind of this like when did things turn for Blizzard and all kinds of stuff, and I really can't wait to kind of get into the history of that stuff. But
all I know is when things turned, I was working there.
Yep. Well, his like I know this was his podcast. His contention is that the success of WoW was basically what started the beginning of the problems because it was so successful that it kind of broke everything.
It wasn't even meant to be they didn't intend it to be as successful as it was.
Yeah.
Like it took the company by surprise.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Oh no, actually this is part of that book. So which is nice also because StarCraft has been just in the wind since the end of StarCraft 2.
Yeah, well, there was supposed to be a third StarCraft 2 game because there was supposed to be there were supposed to be 3 parts.
Uh-huh.
And the third part,
I think it came out.
Did it?
I think it came out. Yeah. Let's see. I'm going to look it up. I'm pretty sure it did. Because the Triple Click, they played through it for...
Okay.
Through all 3 parts. So, Wings of Liberty, Heart of the Swarm, Legacy of the Void came out in 2015.
Okay.
Like, I think it might have been delayed, but it did eventually come out. So
okay, because I shows you how out of it I am. I know I was gone from the company by the time Legacy of the Void came out because I remember it being a big thing of them not releasing it.
Yeah. I don't like the Protoss. Their storylines are always so pretentious and just like, Kazakh Dune, you've got to go to the heart of the fucking Annihilator. And I'm just like, where the fuck ever. Where's James Raynor at? He's driving around a dirt bike in space. Okay, speaking of space and Space Marines, Space Marine 2 is an interesting little story that came up where apparently the... quality control from Games Workshop on Space Marine was so tight that so the Space Marine 2 devs were trying to make the armor of the characters, and they got notes back from Games Workshop being like, the ankle joints on the Space Marine Ultramarine armor Mark II, that's not how they look. You've got them wrong. You need to go change them to the way that they look, because they want you to be 100% on model. And at first I was like, wow, that sounds like a really oppressive way to work. But then I was like, you know what? Actually, that sounds like a cool way to work, because you don't have to worry about it. Like, oh, did you get the... Oh, were there 2 scratches in that skull and crossbones, and those represent like the chapter's fucking epic win at Gerblarzablarg? Like, but these guys are going to pick it up and be like, you got to put another scratch on the stupid emblem on the side of the guy's armor. So, also, it's worth noting that they were talking about how like the miniatures and the art for these were made like 30 years ago by people who didn't consider that you were going to have to make a fully 3D 4K version that didn't look stupid when they were running around. So I don't know. It's interesting. I can't wait to get back to Space Marine 2. But there's a plan. Let's see. Another fun stuff. I don't know if you saw this, but Deadlock, the Steam's new MOBA hybrid game that they have, has had an influx of cheaters, and the way that they have decided to deal with it, at least for now, is if a cheater is detected, it'll give the people a vote about whether they want to just kick them or if they want to turn them into a frog. And when they become a frog, they just become a frog that can't do anything but hop around the map, and everybody just gets to fucking hammer down on this frog that's jumping around the map. I'm always in favor of when developers do
weird shit.
Yeah, silly shit to punish cheaters. That is definitely one of my favorites. So, let's see here. Oh, we're doing pretty good. Cutting those 6 stories was good. This is a very weird thing that happened. So do you remember the game The Day Before?
No.
Okay. So there was a developer called Fantastic, FNTSTIC, and they made this horrible online extraction shooter MMO thing called The Day Before. It was the most wishlisted game on all of Steam. It came out last year, and it was just the worst game. And then it came out that like they were getting volunteers to do coding work for them and then abusing them, and like they didn't pay anybody.
I think I vaguely remember hearing about
horrible
this.
Thing. Their publisher finally just pulled the entire game from Steam.
Yeah, it was pulled like that. Like 2 days later.
It was yes. It was very shortly.
Yeah, okay.
Very shortly after it was. They made all these excuses for it, and basically, whatever. They now have a Kickstarter for a new game. They came back and they're trying to make a new game called what is it? Where is it? This blah 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 blah. They said they're going to make all these changes. They're going to be. It's called Escape Factory. It actually has a demo on Steam, and it's basically Fall Guys. It's basically just Fall Guys with like little guys in a factory running around, and they're trying to get through these little mazes and stuff. It's just Fall Guys, but worse. And they're currently doing a Kickstarter for it. And the last I checked, it was going very badly.
I would imagine. You burn the gaming industry one way, you're not going to get a second chance, unfortunately.
Yes. So let's check on it. Yesterday when I checked on it, it was doing very poorly. Yes. It's got $2,398 pledged of a $15,000 goal. And it's got 21 days to go. So it's about a third of the way into its Kickstarter, and it is not even a third of the way through the funding process. From everything I've read about this company over time, I'm like, good. This is good.
Yeah.
They were a bad company. They didn't check to see if The Day Before was a registered trademark. So most of the stories I had for them were them fighting with a Korean clock app maker who made an app called The Day Before and then registered it across all of the world, and they didn't check before they fucking put that name on their game. So they ended up going to court, and there was a whole thing with that, and then it was like, yeah, it was just terrible. Okay, let's finish up with a couple of Sony stories, and then we'll take a break. So the PS5 Pro Classic went on order last week, or went on pre-order last week for $1,000. This is the one that was the gray 30th anniversary one. Sold out immediately, even though I ordered a PS5 Pro, and apparently you could still just go order a regular PS5 Pro even now. Just it's fine. But these things sold out immediately, and then immediately got put on eBay for the big fat scalper money.
Of course.
Yeah. Like $4,000 for $1,000 console, $5,000 for $1,000 console. Guys, but then apparently it was everything. It was the PS5 Slim that had the 30th anniversary livery, the controller, the thing with the screen that's the remote play thing. They all sold out immediately. In fact, they all sold out immediately, and apparently it was yet another shit show. It was like one of these things where you go on and it's like, oh, you're in line, then you're not in line, then you're offline, then you got to refresh, then you're not there, then oh, we're taking you to the ordering page, but then it never loads, and you don't want to refresh because you don't want to fuck up your place in line, and then you go to add it to your cart, and it's sold out. And you're like, oh, just one of those, like, back to the PS5 original pre-order thing where it was just a total nightmare, which is a shame because you feel like in the last 4 years they should have learned how to do this a little bit better, which is interesting because apparently in Japan they did learn, and they did have a better way where it's kind of weird. I read this talking about the way that they try to do it in Japan. So basically you have like several weeks to basically put your name in the ring for a pre-order, and then after that, the way that it works is everybody whose name is in the ring, there's a lottery that goes on over the stock of the pre-orders, where basically like it randomly picks a person, says congratulations, you have been chosen, you can get a pre-order, you get a pre-order, you get a pre-order, and then after it goes through that whole process, if there's any left over, then they reopen it for another round of people doing stuff, which I don't know how I feel about that. I don't know how I feel about, like, if it's a lottery, then it's just kind of like, well, you just put your name in and hope for the best, as opposed to like, well, I'm in line, I'm going to wait in line for 3 hours, I don't know if this is going to work or not, but I'm in line, like, so I'm going to stand here and waste my time. Yeah. And with that, we're going to go ahead and take a break. When we come back, we got some trailers, so stick around, and we'll see you in just a minute. And we're back. And it's almost time for trailers, but before we get to that, I've got an interesting voice acting news story. So last week we got the announcement of the Like a Dragon pirate Yakuza Goro Majima in Hawaii as a pirate game. And one of the questions that people had was whether the Ichiban was going to make an appearance in this. And apparently it doesn't sound like it. Well, it doesn't sound like the character Ichiban will be making an appearance, but the voice actor has confirmed that he'll be playing the voice of this like tiger cub that apparently this little kid in the game is like kind of carrying around. So he's just going to be doing all the like meows and growls and stuff, which I thought was very very cute. So yeah, I don't know. Did you watch the trailer for that?
I did. I was very happy that AEW wrestler Samoa Joe is going to be in the game.
Did you play the Infinite Wealth at all?
I did not play Infinite Wealth, no.
Do you think you'll play this one?
I don't know, probably. I mean, I might actually go back to Infinite Wealth at some point. I just haven't.
Yeah, I think when it came out, I wasn't ready for a 100-hour Yakuza RPG, and I've been meaning to go back to it, but I don't know, maybe around Christmas when I do some of my like trying to go back to the stuff that I missed. Well, in other Yakuza news, we got our first big actual trailer for the Amazon Yakuza.
Yes, I'm actually excited for this.
Yeah,
because it looks good. One, and two, the main character who's playing
Kiryu
is a Kamen Rider.
Yeah. I when I read that in the article, I was like, I bet John is actually excited for this. I am not excited for this. I think that I'm sure that the guy that's playing Kiryu is fine, but I just don't. He doesn't like come across in these trailers to me as that character of being this kind of big, tall, wide monster, stoic monster man. I don't know. There's just something about his look that doesn't scream Kiryu. I'm still gonna give it a chance. I hope that I am. I hope I'm wrong. I hope that I'm that I'm overreacting and just being a little cannon bitch over here.
Oh no, I totally get it. Like I'm super excited for the show. The only thing I'm not excited about is the fact that that Amazon recently said, "Oh yeah, by the way, those ads, you're getting more of them."
Oh
now,
yeah,
and they're adding more ads than there were.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, okay, don't push it, Amazon.
Uh-oh. Wait, what's going on here? Okay. Yeah, I don't know. Like, again, there's nothing entirely wrong with this, but I guess when I watch this trailer, it feels like what we used to get with video game adaptations, where it's like 70% of what I actually want, as opposed to some of the new stuff like the Fallout and Last of Us and stuff, which have been very good adaptations. So I don't know. Again, I really hope that I am proven wrong and that this is great, because it would be nice. Also, I guess maybe like this isn't the sort of thing that you would get in an adaptation, but I also don't see any goofiness whatsoever in this trailer, and I do like me the Yakuza goofiness. So I don't know. Also, there's a weird thing with the CGI dragon in the trailer where I'm like, what is that about? I played the first Yakuza. I don't remember there being a CGI dragon anywhere in there. So I don't know. We'll see. Very shortly too, right? It's in
it's like
October 24th.
Yeah,
it's
like everything's premiering this month, TV show wise. So
let's see. From there, we got another live action thing. I had forgotten about this character for a long time. We got the Call of Duty Black Ops 6 trailer for The Replacer. So I don't know if you remember this campaign.
I vaguely do.
I don't remember the name of this guy. He was the guy in was he in John Wick? Was he the guy's dad in John? No. That's somebody different. He was in Bad Boys 2. Oh God, who is he?
He was also the devil in
Constantine. Yes. Let's see. Let me just get a name here. But he basically, the whole concept of this advertising campaign was that there was a character called Peter Stormare. There's a character called The Replacer that when you were playing Call of Duty, he was going to come in and do your job or be with your family,
replace you in your life.
Yeah, but then he's like this really gruff guy, and so it's the comedy is him being in the situations that he's in. But I don't know. This is it made me laugh when I watched it, so I was like, you can throw it in there. Yeah, good stuff. Let's see. After that, seeing of stuff that may not be so good, we got the season 3 trailer for Suicide Squad Kills the Justice League, which each new season has had a new playable character that has come in.
There's been 2 seasons of that already?
Yep. First one was the Joker, and the second one was Mrs. Freeze. Ms. Freeze. The third one is it's Floyd Lawton's daughter.
Yeah.
Lawless, I guess, is like her name, and she's like kind of a social media influencer, but also kind of a hero. And yeah, I don't really know that much about this character, but they put out a little animated trailer for it, and it's it's cute enough, but I just don't think that anything is going to.
Does anyone care?
I don't think anything's going to save this. I don't think anything is going to save this at this point. So, my laptop has come unplugged. Well, that's a real kick in the nuts. Yeah, I don't know. I guess here's the question, John. Would anything convince you to go back to Suicide Squad Kills the Justice League?
I never went to it in the first place.
All right, here we go. Plugging things back in.
Yeah, that's the thing. I never went to it. I didn't want to play the game. because I thought the idea of playing games where I'm killing the Justice League is fucking dumb.
Yeah.
And
Okay.
you know, I had no desire for it, even though previously mentioned wrestler Samoa Joe was the voice of King Shark.
Are you saying that you're not just going to play any game that has a wrestler in it?
Well,
That's not the John I know.
AEW wrestler Samoa Joe, who is also the body for Sweet Tooth and the live action Twisted Metal series.
Right.
You know, he happens to be in a lot of things that are video game related because he was also the mocap for Sweet Tooth in the original Twisted Metal games. Samoa Joe.
Yep. I don't know.
I'm sorry. I love you, man, but I can't play every game that you're in, and I can't watch everything that you're in.
Okay.
But yeah, no, the Suicide Squad doesn't bother. It doesn't interest me in any way, shape, or form.
Yeah. What I think was so interesting about it, and I think that it kind of got lost in the sauce, was that I played it as like a single player game, and I actually think that the combat system in that game is good. Because it's like trying to adapt the weird counter system from Arkham Asylum and Arkham, the Arkham series, into a gun system where you're countering with like specific gun stuff. And I actually it was kind of like Anthem, where I had fun playing that game, but then it got to the end and it was like, okay, now you're going to like grind out these seasons for the next year in order to see the actual end of the game. And I was like, no, I'm not. I'm going to go on with my life. Like, it wasn't that good. It was fine as a thing, but yeah, I don't know. Let's see. Well, here's something that might be more interesting. Speaking of movie and television stuff, we got some actual gameplay and then a release date for Kong Survivor Instinct. It's kind of a side-scrolling like action game where you play as somebody on the ground during this there's this giant spider that's attacking, and then King Kong is also there, and so all this like is happening in the background. They have this little video where they show your character kind of platforming through this like building while this giant spider is just wreaking havoc in the background.
I mean, it looks like it could be cool.
Yeah, I mean, like, I think it seems
hopefully
interesting.
they're actually making it good and not just like shoveling it out the door to make cash.
Right.
Like
I guess
every other game that's based like this.
I've always been very confused about why they can't seem to make good kaiju games. Like some are pretty good, but that like, I don't know. It seems like it should be easier than apparently it is. But yeah, I don't know. October 22nd is when that's coming out. I also think this is one of these. If I'm not mistaken, I think this is coming out. Yeah, PC, PS5, Xbox Series XS. So it's not coming to the old gen consoles. So I got a message from Matt last week where he was like, "Damn it, that new Kong game is only coming to PS5. Now I've got to buy a PS5." And I was like, for that? For this?
Hey, it's Matt Frank. Of course he's going to buy a PS5 for that.
Yeah. So, yeah. Let's see. From there, we got an announcement for Starship Troopers Continuum, a new VR game for the PSVR 2 in the Starship Troopers verse. This one is the one that I think there was a news story before where Casper Van Dien is doing the voice acting as Johnny Rico for it. And yeah, it's a first-person shooting bugs in VR. I'm not entirely sure if I want to do that. I don't know if I want to do that, no matter how much Casper Van Dien yells at me. I don't know. It's weird because like the trailer starts out with this very nice, very weird, kind of darkly shaded stuff, and then when it shows the game, it's very kind of cartoony and bright.
Yeah.
I don't know. I know you're a fan of Starship Troopers.
I do like the movie and the animated series.
Would you be interested in playing anything like this?
No. I mean,
Yeah. The first and only Starship Troopers
like
game.
Helldivers 1 and 2.
And also it looks like you play multiplayer online and stuff, so I don't know.
Yeah.
Let's see. Speaking of space games, Starfield Shattered Space got their big launch trailer, which is very... which really seems to assume that I know more about the lore of Starfield than I do. Like the stuff that they're talking about, I'm like, I don't know who these people are, and I don't know what the fuck they're talking about. I don't know what the Great Serpent is. Kind of looks like some space horror, but then I've been watching it online, and apparently it's got a real negative Steam review because it's $30. The quests are not that long, and it doesn't introduce any other gameplay mechanics or fixes outside of just this one world with a series of quests on it. So
it's like someone went, well, you know what other space game was popular?
Right.
Dead Space.
Yeah.
Let's throw some Dead Space in there.
Yeah. So I don't know. I'm kind of sad because like the parallels have been made to Cyberpunk, right?
Yeah.
Where it launched and it wasn't that good and didn't have a very good reputation, and then they spent a long time making it better. Whereas here it seems like they're just cranking out content, but the base game is still not up to snuff that's going to bring people back.
Yeah.
Instead, you're just putting out overpriced mission packs, basically. I don't know. It's a shame. I really wanted Starfield to be good, and I'm going to wait for them to declare that they're kind of done with it and see if they actually fix it. But at this rate, it doesn't seem like anything that they're trying to get to anytime soon. So.
Yeah, no, I played it when it came out, Game Pass and all that, and I was like, man, I'm glad I didn't pay for this.
Yeah, I didn't
even finish it. I just stopped playing it.
Yeah, me too. Skyrim in space. I tell you what I did. I tried to make a base in order to I tried to set up an automated Satisfactory style base to just have a place to put the items that were filling every pocket and hold of my character and ship, so I wasn't constantly over encumbered. And that became such a chore to build this base, to get the resources, to build a place to put all the crap that I had, that I was like, this isn't fun. I don't like this. And I just stopped. So, yeah. We got an extended gameplay video for Hell Is Us, the kind of Souls meets... People said it's like Death Stranding, but I think that's mostly because the main character has like an outfit where they've got like a hood over a baseball cap. So this is a developer walkthrough where they kind of go into some of the backstory of the game. It was a little bit irritating because, one, the main developer kept referencing things that then they wouldn't go into detail about because you'll have to discover that for yourself in the main game. And I'm like, I get why that's a thing, but this guy says that like 5 times during this thing, and I was just like, well, then don't fucking bring it up if it's a thing. There's also a lot of emphasis on, we're not going to hold your hand, we're not going to have any like hint system, players will have to figure stuff out for themselves, we're not going to put like markers on the map, very just like and just very proudly talking about this like, it's like it was back in the olden days. And I'm like, it wasn't always good back in the olden days when that was the case. Like but it does look pretty cool. Like the game itself looks pretty nice. They kind of show some puzzles of like just figuring out where to go. They show a brief puzzle of like having to decipher these like riddles to find the code to open a door later on. And then at the end, they kind of show off a little bit of the action, which they also talk about being kind of more of like a third person hack and slash action than like a really rigorous like Souls style, even though it kind of looks that way when you look at it. But I don't know. It looks pretty cool. Like,
it looks interesting. Like this looks like a game I would give it. I'd try it out.
It looks like to me, it looks like Death Stranding and Atomic Heart had a weird baby. Yeah, okay. Like these kind of strange enemy types, and really kind of like like kind of dry areas. But yeah, I don't know. It's a 15-minute video, and it looks like it's got some promise. Hopefully we'll find out more. So let's see. In completely the opposite direction, we got the launch trailer for Earth Defense Force World Brothers 2, as if one Earth Defense Force World Brothers wasn't enough. Square World is under attack by this giant Gaiark creature that has busted up the Square World of Earth Defense Force Brothers, and now you got to go do it again. You got to play Earth Defense Force, but everything is a weird blocky voxel thing. So I never really got into the first World Brothers.
I never played it. Didn't even know it was a thing.
Yeah.
I'm going to be honest. Like, I saw 2 and I was like, didn't know there was a first one.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
It was more about like rescuing these bespoke characters that were like, this guy's from Italy, and so he's got these traits, and he looks kind of like a pizza guy or something. It's strange though that they just put out EDF 6 like not that long ago, like 2 months ago, and then they've got this one as well, kind of double dipping in that space. But yeah, that's out. It's out now on the PlayStation. Yeah. Let's see. Now, one thing that I am really excited for is Streets of Rogue 2, which is coming out later this month. And they just had a new class overview trailer where they show some of the different classes in Streets of Rogue just kind of going crazy and doing stuff. But then they also have things like, there's like a farmer class where you can kind of build a house and grow crops. But they also have things like the gorilla from the first one. And the soldier and stuff. Did you ever play Streets of Rogue?
I did a little bit.
I really like that game a lot. And this one appears to just be like, it's adding some like build mechanics as well as like Grand Theft Auto 1 style cars. And then everything is like 16-bit as opposed to 8-bit like the first one was. And yeah, that's great for me.
Yeah, it looks fun. Looks great.
Fuck yeah. So can't wait to get back into that on October 22nd. Yeah. Let's see. We got an animated release date trailer for a game called Raven's Watch that I hadn't heard of before, which is apparently like kind of a top-down isometric kind of cel-shaded thing. This is this trailer makes it clear that this character is Little Red Riding Hood, so it's kind of a twisted fairy tale.
Wolves. Okay.
And then they've got like a Pied Piper, and there's kind of like a Frost Witch. Some of these characters, I don't know who exactly they are. I do think it's ballsy to make a character class in a Diablo game that's like a guy with a flute, and it looks pretty cool to play. But then, yeah, in this trailer at the end, the Red Riding Hood character then turns into a werewolf to fight this kind of Cthulhu style monster.
She's the tank.
Yeah. And this is fine. Like, it's co-op, top-down, roguelike. I don't know. This is one that I'm actually kind of a sucker sometimes for stuff like this if it turns out to be well made. I feel like there's a lot of stuff in here, and there's 9 different heroes that you can play as, who I'm sure will all level up a little bit at a time. I kind of want to try that Pied Piper. He's got some part in here where they show him attacking with a flute, and then it turns into a giant flute, and I'm like, all right, sounds good to me. Yeah. And that's coming out, I think, November, end of November. So, yeah, looks pretty cool.
Yeah, I'll be honest, I hadn't heard of that game.
Yeah. From there, this was another one. It's interesting. I'd heard of this. So this is the first Berserker Kazan. Got a trailer for the quote, like the Viper Boss trailer. So this is based on the DNF universe, which was a like an online action game. I think in like Korea. Then spawned an Arc System Works fighting game that was pretty good. That Michael and I played a little while back. And then this was supposed to be kind of like a third-person action-adventure game based on one of their characters. And up until now, every trailer they've had for this has been incredibly gray to the point where it looks boring. Like splashes of color here and there, but mostly just like kind of desaturated. And this trailer has a lot more color in it. Like the backgrounds have been kind of washed out, but like it's about this giant kind of T-Rex dragon monster man that's kind of walking through the corpses of all these other dragon men, and then it kind of flashes back to show the main character like killing them in a very bombastic kind of God of War style. And everything about it looks better than any of the trailers that they've shown so far. I don't know if you've seen any of the previous trailers for this, but
I have not.
This actually makes it look really interesting. Because it's a very stylish trailer that, you know, crossfades between the character doing the action and then these kind of corpses of these like lizard men, and it all kind of culminates with the guy catching up to the hero. And every part of this has more color and dynamism than what I've seen in the previous trailers. So this actually makes me a lot more interested in this, because it always seemed like it could be an interesting action game, like kind of a God of War ripoff, but there's nothing wrong with that. But it was always so gray and dull that I was just uninterested. So, but yeah, that's coming early 2025, and they're having a closed beta October 11th through the 20th. So you can go sign up. Let's see. From there, we got the launch trailer for Throne and Liberty Claim the Throne. This is a new free-to-play online MMO that's like a kind of hack and slash, multiplayer MMO. It's got a very mixed rating on Steam right now. I was considering whether to play it, but this just isn't. MMOs really aren't my bag. But it's a very nice trailer. Like the launch trailer is it makes it look probably much more exciting than it actually is to play.
Good possibility.
Because you could do the montage of all the best parts. But there's a bunch of parts in here where you see like, fucking 25 people all lined up shooting at the same big boss. And I'm like, yeah, that's the part I don't want to do. Yeah. Let's see. Kill Knight also came out this week. I don't know if you'd seen this one before, where it's kind of a top-down isometric, like action, like super action game.
Yeah. I've seen a little bit about this.
It's got a kind of like a real crunchy pixel style, like pixelated style to it, and it's kind of a horde-based thing where you're just doing wave after wave after wave. I downloaded it and I started playing it, and then I thought, well, there's not a lot to the game outside of the action, and it takes a little while to get used to the action. So I was like, I probably won't do a video for it. And then over the last couple of days, I really got into it. As I kind of figured out how it's got a really cool series of systems that all fit together in a way that creates a really satisfying loop.
Okay.
And then it's got this just, it's been a while since I played a kind of a twin stick shooter that had just massive amounts of enemies on the screen at the same time. So yeah, that's out right now. I recommend it. I don't know if we'll ever do a video on it, but I recommend it. It's on the Xbox. It's also on the PC. I guess on the PlayStation as well. But we got a release date trailer for Puppet House. This is a horror game that where there's like a little crazy marionette or like looking little puppet guy.
Okay.
It's about a private investigator going to this house where there was like a disappearance, but people keep saying that the lights are on in the house. There's like another private investigator that went and then like left after one day. And so it's kind of a first person adventure horror thing where you're kind of coming into this house to try to suss out what's happened. This trailer doesn't really have a lot going on, but they do kind of show the little titular puppet guy. And then they gave it a release date. It really sucks. It's coming October 24th. Really sucks, though, is that like the trailer builds up to this moment where the main character is by this pickup truck and then looks and sees that the puppet is in like the driver's seat of the pickup truck, and then it turns its face to them. But because of the fucking game trailers putting up recommended trailers and it happens right at the end, it means that like a lot of that reveal is
it's obscured.
Covered up with their trailers. But I don't know. I like a good weird indie horror game.
Yeah.
So we'll see. We also got the announcement for the console release date for Amanda the Adventurer. This will be the first one that was only on PC up until now. For those of you who don't know, you can go watch Amanda and I play Amanda the Adventurer, which was a very like it's like you find these videotapes of like an old 90s like educational show, but it gets real creepy and weird, and then there's
the more it goes on, the more it just gets really weird.
Yeah, like Amanda, the main character, will be like, "Where's the store?" And then you have to click on where the store is, but when you don't do it, she gets like really mad, and then there's kind of a monstrous component to it, and then it all takes place in an attic where you can disengage from the TV and solve little puzzles to get new tapes and stuff, which is pretty cool. So, did I say the release date right? October 10th. This Thursday, or this coming Thursday. Yeah.
Next week.
We got the Until Dawn launch trailer. So this is the trailer for the remake of Until Dawn,
Which that came out today that we're recording this.
Yes, it came out on October 4th.
Yeah.
I was a little disappointed to learn that there is no upgrade path if you previously purchased Until Dawn. So it's a full $60, even if you already own Until Dawn and did a lot of videos on Until Dawn. I don't know. Do you think Until Dawn needed a remaster?
No.
Like, it does look better. It does run better. They had like I think that when you look at this trailer, it seems like it looks kind of like the PS4 version, but when you go back and look at the PS4 version, it had less lighting, it had less detail and stuff like that. But
no, I mean, I'm looking. You're playing the trailer while we're talking, and I'm looking at it, and I can see what's been done to it to make it look better. Like, there's definitely some lighting improvements, and things like that. But I don't think it needed it.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, there is the question of like, Until Dawn still runs on my PS5. Like, I don't have to. It's not hard to get. It's not hard to run. And it's not like it's so outdated that it really needed like that much remaster work. But I don't know. I guess we'll find out. Find out whether it sells well or not. I don't know. And then last, oh wow, we're doing really well. Nintendo Switch Online has 2 new games they're putting on the Online Plus expansion pack. These are both Game Boy Advanced F-Zero games.
Nice.
So F-Zero GP Legend, which was like a big, just a big release. I never played this one, but it was apparently very well thought of. And then the second one was only available in Japan up until now. And this is F-Zero Climax, which had a bunch of kind of crazy stuff, as well as a full track editor where you could make your own tracks and store them. So both of these are available next week on the 11th. And then apparently they're also doing a bunch of updates to the F-Zero 99 series. So I don't know. I like it when Nintendo uses this platform to put out previously unreleased stuff.
Oh yeah, no, I'm always happy with to get previously unreleased stuff that was never released outside of Japan, and things like that. Stuff that I didn't have the chance to play previously.
Yep. Also,
give us a new F-Zero game though.
Yeah, that's one of those ones
Nintendo.
that I don't really understand why they won't do that. Also, there's a company called Freak Zone Games that makes like they made like the AVGN game.
Yeah, they made the AVGN game. They made the Manos Hands of Fate game.
Yeah, and they're making a Rocky Horror Picture Show game that's coming out this October. That's like, it looks so much like what you would get if an NES Rocky Horror Picture Show game.
Exactly like the Manos Hands of Fate game.
Oh, really?
And the Angry Video Game Nerd game.
Okay, so just side scrolling, the same kind of art style and everything. I'm a big fan of Rocky Horror Picture Show, so I might actually check this one out as opposed to the other ones.
I mean, so I didn't play the AVGN game, but I did play the Manos Hands of Fate one, and I actually really enjoyed it. So
okay. And it's coming in October. I also think that like, we're watching a trailer without the sound on, but they have a really good chiptune version of it wasn't a Time Warp, it was one of the other songs from Rocky Horror, but it was like a very good rendition of that. So
okay,
yeah, I don't know, I'm all in favor. Let's see, the Poncol, the developers of Vampire Survivors, has announced that they're opening up a publishing arm.
Okay,
but not like a. So they did a kind of a press conference because they're very small. This seems like one of those things where, like, a developer, they've made so much money that they're like, well, we're all taken care of. Like, everybody involved with this can retire at this point, and we're still making money. What do we do now? And so what they want
helps other people.
Yeah, exactly. So they basically said, though, they want to do funding, platform support, localization, QA, release management, and development advice. but not necessarily like pushing like a bunch of marketing and stuff like that. It sounds more like funding and more like maybe what the Among Us team is doing. They also basically said that they have they outlined what they call insta-no's, like don't even bother. And apparently this is anything survivor-like, anything AI or Web3 related, and any free-to-play mobile games, just like don't even bother, we're not interested. So
nice.
Yeah.
Good for them.
Always good to see developers giving back. John, did you see Devolver has a new label as well?
Vaguely.
They created a new sub-label called Big Fan that's going to be specifically for game adaptations of films, comics, TV shows, and quote-unquote cult heroes.
Okay.
So they moved that Hellboy Web of Word basically onto that label outside of the Devolver like main label. And then moving forward, they're basically saying that like anything that specifically fits into that category will be kind of like over here, which makes sense. You know, if you're marketing to an existing fan base as opposed to a new fan base, that it would make sense to have that. But that it's not really changing anything else. So, and I think, they moved John Wick Hex there, and then also the Game of Thrones Reigns, the version of Reigns that had Game of Thrones attached to it. So, which is good. I'm glad to hear that Devolver's doing well enough to be able to do that. So, we got some news about Fallout London. Apparently, Fallout London was supposed to have a big update that's kind of been. We haven't heard anything about that in a while, and one of the reasons is that apparently that team has brought on some external talent to help them with streamlining stuff, bug fixes, and whatnot. And they've said that actually, once they kind of got this outside talent in, that they found that the people that they got were very adept at like going through and like fixing some of the big problems that they had. So they've actually had them doing more than they were originally going to do, but that they're supposed to have their next big patch out before London Comic-Con, which is October 25th. So before the end of the month, there should be a big patch, which is good because I wanted to play that game, but I kind of wanted to wait for it to be a little bit more stable because it was very, very unstable. But yeah. Let's see. We also got the news that The Alters, do you know that game? One where you're on like a giant wheel ship, and the whole thing is that you're pulling versions of yourself from different timelines that have different, like it's one
Vaguely,
guy.
No, I remember it now. Yeah.
It's from 11-bit, the guys that made Frostpunk, and it was supposed to come out like it'd be Frostpunk 2, and then this would come out. They announced that they're moving it out of 2024 into early 2025, probably because they put Frostpunk 2 out. They need everybody all hands on deck to do, updates and stuff for that. Never at this point in my gaming career, John, I am never sad to learn that a developer wants to put a game off to make it better before they put it out.
Oh, of course.
So, yeah. And then we also got the news that Lords of the Fallen 2 has entered full development, which is weird because there's already a Lords of the Fallen 2, but this is the sequel to the Lords of the Fallen that came out last year.
It was weird when they released Lords of the Fallen and Lords of the Fallen 2, and then they released a new Lords of the Fallen.
Right.
And now they're going to release a new Lords of the Fallen 2. And those aren't remakes. They're entirely new games.
Yeah. Yep.
It's weird.
I've thought about going back to it, but then all the updates that I heard about that game were that like, oh yeah, guys, we made it even harder. And I'm just like, well, my problem was that it was kind of too hard for me in the first place. So I don't know. And then let's see, we also got the news that Capcom has kind of like made some vague gestures to say that they will continue making Phoenix Wright games. They still have an interest in making Phoenix Wright content. They were unclear about what that means, but this is good news because basically everything that could be remastered now has been remastered with the Miles Edgeworth games being put out. So there's no more old games to go back to. The only thing left to do with Phoenix Wright is make a new Phoenix Wright game. And I hope they do, because I think those games have sold very well for what they were, and they seem to put a lot of love into them. So
yeah, I like the Phoenix Wright games.
Yep.
I mean, I just replayed through one right before it got pulled from Game Pass.
Oh, okay.
I played through the first game, and then I was like, I didn't realize it was still so close to being pulled, and I was like, oh man, I really want to play 2, because I've actually never played 2 or 3.
I actually thought about going back to the prequel ones that came out a little while back, because all of those re-releases have a thing where you could just watch them as a movie instead of playing them, and I kind of consider the actual gameplay of Phoenix Wright to be so slight that in some cases I would almost just rather watch it. If the choice is,
I ended up rewatching the anime, which is not great, but it's good enough.
It was based on the first the first game, the first cases.
The first season is the first game and the second game, and then the second season is the third game.
Oh, okay.
And then they didn't do any more because they didn't want to continue past the.
They want to get into the Apollo Justice trilogy.
Yeah.
And then let's wrap it up with some Baldur's Gate. So Baldur's Gate 3, the big update for Baldur's Gate 3 was just put out on consoles. So it was out on the PC, but this is the one that added they made all these new evil endings, because the evil endings were very slight, and they made really horrible, terrible, if you want to be a fucking monster, you could totally be a monster evil endings. I think this also is the one that has official mod support. So there was unofficial support before, but now there's some official mod support, as well as a few other options. So all of that is now out on the consoles as well. And as I understand it, they are pushing for a few more things before they wrap everything up. So photo mode and crossplay, I think, are the two big things that they want before they finally just close the book on Baldur's Gate 3.
And they will never make another...
Well, they're already working on something else.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. No, they're working on a new thing. I'm just saying they'll never work on another Baldur's Gate game.
Yeah. I need Baldur's Gate 6. Then we also got, I thought this might appeal to you, John, some little miniatures for Baldur's Gate 3. So these are called... what are they called? They're Icons of the Realms. And it's a character box set of characters from Baldur's Gate 3 that I assume that you can use with the D&D campaign.
Yeah.
And they've got all the characters. I wish I could get bigger versions. So all the main characters and withers. And that whole pack is $50, which I think I've seen some people think is a little bit much for, what is it, 6? 1, 2, 3,
that's actually
7?
not that bad.
7, I guess.
That's not that bad.
Yeah. I didn't think it was, but I don't know.
Those things, what people don't is one of those is actually around $15.
Oh, okay.
$10, $15.
Okay. Yeah, it seems pretty cool. The only thing I wish is that they put withers in there, who I don't know if you played Baldur's Gate 3, but he kind of lets you respec and hire people and stuff like that. There is a canonical Dragonborn sorcerer that is the default for the Dark Urge character that the player can play. And I kind of wish it was that instead, because that's more of a player character, more of a canonical player character, and Withers you don't play as him. So, and then last but not least, to celebrate the launch of this, Baldur's Gate teamed up with, what is this animation studio? They teamed up with the animation studio that's done some of their previous custom animations to make this cute little cartoon where the Baldur's Gate 3 team,
and they got all the voice actors for it.
Yeah,
I've seen it. It's actually very enjoyable.
It's very cute. They go out and there's a wizard with the mod tools that's just screwing everything up. And so they decide to try to fight him using their own kind of crazy mod stuff. I think the funniest part is when he zaps Lae'zel and then she comes back and she's got a nose. But yeah, very cute. I just get the impression that Larian just they work, but they have a lot of fun with this shit.
Yeah, they do.
They've used their success and the success of Baldur's Gate 3 in a very fun way. So, Yeah, and that's the end of the podcast. I don't actually believe it, John, but we're actually like a few minutes under time. We kind of went over a little bit in the beginning, but like this might be for the first time in a long time where we've actually managed to hit
the time. Welcome. I just let you rant for most of it and don't only interject when I find something interesting.
Yeah.
And,
Well, I also, like I said, I cut 6 stories. I can tell that one story. Apparently, Harada's been trying to get Colonel Sanders into Tekken for a long time, and everyone from KFC to the Tekken team to marketing keeps telling him no, and he just keeps asking if he can get Colonel Sanders.
That's weird, considering they put Colonel Sanders in a WWE game.
Yeah,
that one time
they put him in that dating game. Like they put him in Funko Fusion for God's sake. Like,
yeah, why wouldn't you put him in Tekken?
That seems like a perfect thing. It seems like a perfect match, but. Yeah, and with that, let's wrap it up. Oh wait, you know what? I was gonna say in days past when we have had time at the end, a lot of times I've done quote unquote reviews, but because the games have gotten so long, I haven't beaten as many games. But I did play all the way through that Zelda game last week.
Oh, okay, and
I did beat it. And It was very charming, and it was very much my style of Zelda, of like top down kind of action stuff. It did get to a point a little bit in the game where it's like once you get some really powerful summons, it's like, well, I'm not summoning like Octoroks. I'm just summoning the level 3 Moblin that I have that can torch everything on the map. But it was a good story. It was around probably around 14 to 16 hours long. I didn't do a lot of stuff, but it was very enjoyable. It was very cute. I wish it ran a little bit better, but as like if you're jonesing for Zelda, this is fine. Like this is a great way to get into it. So, 4 stars, 4.25 stars. I would give it a full 4.5. That's too close to being like great, but it held my attention. I kept playing it, and I never got tired of it all the way to the end. So, there you go. Patreon.com/RageSelect is where you go to help us out. If you like, you kick some bucks, get some bonus videos. Got bonus videos being posted to Patreon. You get a big spreadsheet you send out every Monday. I got the Discord server where you can come and hang out with all of us. I even need to check there's a Minecraft server and a Power World server, and check if anybody's still on there. If not, I'm going to shut them down and make a new, find something else that people want a server for. But yeah, and it also helps RageSelect stay in business, which, I can't speak for anybody else, but I appreciate that RageSelect stays in business. It means I can play Suicide Squad Kills Justice League and then tell you whether or not it's any good. And the answer is it's okay. Yeah.
Fair enough.
That's it. John, you got anything you wanted to say to the audience before we wrap it up?
Hi.
You want to talk to Samoa Joe? You want to tell Samoa Joe one more thing before we go?
No. I'm good. Like, I pop on the Discord every now and then. Even if I'm not actually posting, I lurk.
Mm-hmm.
So,
All right. Well, that's it. I'm actually not completely exhausted, and we're not a million years over time. I don't even know what to do with my life. I don't even know. Usually I just scream, get out of my house. But, have a nice day. I hope you're treating yourself well and drinking enough water. Now get out of my house.